everybody, and welcome back to Typical City, the week that defines us right now. This week coming up for Manchester City is the week of fixtures that will absolutely define the rest of our season. Real Madrid tomorrow night in the Champions League. We've got Chelsea in the FA Cup at the weekend. And next Thursday night, we've got Brighton away, back into Premier League action as we hope to regain our top spot, assuming that Liverpool and Arsenal regain their first and second places in the Premier League. What a week this promises to be. And it gets going with an absolute blockbuster of a match in bloody Real Madrid rocking up to the Etihad. A seismic game of football that I think we all know now. These are the big games. These are the big matches that promise goals as well. In the last 5 meetings between these two unbelievable juggernaut football clubs, they've amassed nearly 5 goals per game. Manchester City, boring City, they said. 6 goals in our last 3 games, with the 3-3 at Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu, followed by the 4-2 against Crystal Palace, and then followed by the 5-1 thumping of Luton. 6 goals in our last 3 games. Boring City, my arse. An absolutely blockbuster game this is going to be. The 14-time winners against the current holders of the Champions League. What a game. What a game this is going to be. It's the big blockbuster games. These are the games that just draw the attention of the world. Millions upon millions of people flock to watch the likes of Real Madrid and Manchester City. You know, not this mediocre Europa League standard of Liverpool and United. You know, that those days are gone, mate. You know, they're not the big clubs anymore that draw the attention. So the numbers that eyeballs cast onto games like this, you don't see that with United. United meet, Bayern Munich in the group stages and get battered and get knocked out, finishing bottom of their group in the Champions League and then struggle to barely scrape into Europe. The likes of Liverpool, who are currently capitulating and losing in Europa League games at home to Atalanta. These are the sort of fixtures now that those clubs are facing, while Manchester City, they're going all the way in these tournaments now. And this is what we are now. We need to get used to it. It still feels like I have to explain it to people that Manchester City are the big club in Manchester and the big club in the UK, and arguably one of the biggest in the world, going toe-to-toe with Real Madrid on and off the pitch right now. And I mean, it's not, speaking of United though, in terms of the actual ties, the last 10 games where Real Madrid have failed to win their first leg, they've only ever won 2 of those games where they failed to win their first leg in the Champions League. And both times were against United in 1990 and in 2012, which, hopefully they don't come to Manchester and do the same again, because it's going to be a blockbuster game and an absolutely unbelievable game. 2 teams that are in great form. We saw it at the Bernabeu, 3-3. City undefeated in 27 games. 27 games. Absolutely ridiculous. And we could, if we avoid defeat against Real Madrid, we could equal a record that goes back all the way to 1921 by achieving an undefeated record of 42 games at home, unbeaten. I mean, 103 years old. I don't think there's many 103-year-olds still watching football, And I mean, Manchester City, I'm not sure there are many 103-year-olds still knocking about now watching Real Madrid take on Manchester City at the Etihad. So I like to think this is going to be once in a lifetime record. It probably is going to be. And I mean, it's a fortress, an absolute fortress. And it's the reason why a lot of fans look at this fixture and the result of the 3-3 and think, oh, City, that's so favourable. And it was favourable, but this is Real Madrid. We're talking about Real Madrid, and I don't care the fact that we spanked them last year 4-0. We did. We obliterated them at the Etihad. And I'm hoping something similar. I would take a fraction of that performance, because I still think a 75% version of that performance that we put in last season in the 4-0 game, we still beat this Real Madrid side. Because I don't think we'll ever see that level. That first 45 minutes at the Etihad was unbelievable. And if we can do something along those lines again, then I'm almost certain that we're going to win. But it is Real Madrid that are rocking up. Real Madrid that are currently sat 8 points clear on top of the La Liga table as well, doing some really good things. They're looking solid in their league form. They they played Mallorca at the weekend. They won 1-0 with a Tchouaméni goal. Tchouaméni, who is suspended for this game. And I'm going to get onto yellow cards and the Real Madrid game plan, by the way, because I think we saw a lot of tactics from Real Madrid that were clear as day, that I highlighted in my watch-along that I didn't go into too much detail, but now I've got some proof for you to show you how Real Madrid attempted to break down Manchester City. And the same can be said this time, but we do have the counter. The antidote to Real Madrid's attempted attacks in the first leg where they came down that left-hand side, and I'll talk about that shortly as well. But, I mean, Real Madrid, they're undefeated in the Champions League this season, currently on an unbelievable run themselves. They're undefeated in 15 games in all competitions, so it's 27 games of Manchester City, undefeated, versus Real Madrid, undefeated in 15 games. It's going to be an unbelievable game. They did get the luxury of resting Vinicius Jr. and Toni Kroos against Mallorca, but other than that, it was a fairly strong team from Real Madrid that played Mallorca. I thought they might rest a few more other players. Vinicius Jr. is obviously a key player that they got to rest. But the rest was pretty much full strength, and it's good. It's good for City. It's good for the competition that Real Madrid are being tested, because prior to this game, don't forget, City had 2 days rest in the first leg compared to Real Madrid's 9 days rest in the first leg. That was at the Bernabeu. Advantage Real Madrid. 9 days rest. Advantage Real Madrid. And it finished 3-3. If we play as well as we did at the Bernabeu, I think we win. I think we win this game with players that are coming into form as well. I can't wait. I will be doing a watch-along, guys, for this one. I know I missed the Luton game due to my illness, so you can probably hear it in my nose. I'm still not 100%. But I will be doing a watch-along this Wednesday, 8 o'clock kickoff in the UK time, so come and join me for that one. But Pep's got a headache. He's got some serious headaches. Good ones, if there are such a thing as good headaches, Edison or Ortega, Does he start Haaland, who's not... That's an easier one to decide for me. I do think he will start Haaland. Ake, who's fit, or Gvardiol, who scored 2 in 2. And not just scoring goals, he's playing well, solid defensively. A little bit of a blunder against Luton that I saw. He got caught on the ball a little bit and was bypassed a little bit. I mean, absolute nitpicking at Gvardiol's performance in there. But over the course of the last 2 games from Gvardiol, he's been sensational. He's been brilliant. Walker, does he come straight back into the team? These are the headaches for Pep Guardiola that are enjoyable headaches to have and dilemmas that I think most managers would die for. But he's got to make those decisions, and these fine details are what define these types of games. With 2 unbelievable football clubs and football teams going blow for blow, it is the little details that matter. It always is, and deciding to play Walker, is match ready? Is he fit? Because he didn't play at all against Luton. Will he start him just for the sake of the Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo threat? It worked last season, but is Walker ready right now to start? Match fitness. It's not there yet, is it? It's interesting. But you look at Cole Palmer right now, scoring goals for Chelsea yesterday against Everton, scoring goals. And you look at Erling Haaland, for example. I do feel like there's a dilemma there for Pep, because it's just not dropping for Erling Haaland right now. And I don't want to make too many excuses for him, but you look at the reason why I thought those were the sort of chances that Cole Palmer was getting yesterday. I watched the game against Chelsea versus Everton. Completely off topic, but kind of linking it to Haaland and how a perfect example of a player that the ball is just dropping for them. You go and look at Palmer's hat-trick goal, where he's just jogging into the box and he doesn't break his stride. He just ghosts into a little pocket of space, exactly as Haaland loves to do. But the ball just bounces off a couple of players, rebound, and it lands straight onto the head of Palmer, who can nod it into an empty net. That was happening every game for Erling Haaland last season. This time the ball's just not dropping for him, and I feel like he needs a lucky break. He needs a ball just to drop for him to smash one into the back of the net. But we can't afford to have the Erling Haaland that went missing in the first half and put in a really stonkingly bad performance against Luton. Again, that one-on-one, he's got to bury that. And then his bicycle kick, he got an unbelievable dose of luck by smashing it off the Luton player's face into the back of the net for an own goal. Real bit of luck there, and then he gets his penalty, tucks it away, lovely. Really good finish from a penalty, but you could see in his celebration that he was a bit timid with his celebration, like, yeah, I've scored the penalty, but he wants to score a goal from open play. You revert back to the first leg against Real Madrid, and Rudiger pocketed him. Absolutely won none of his battles against Rudiger. And there's no way Carlo Ancelotti is going to make the same mistake that he made last season in the second leg at the Etihad, where he chose to drop Rudiger, having pocketed him at the Bernabeu as well last season. He did the same this season at the Bernabeu. Surely Ancelotti's not going to drop Rudiger again and not play him at the Etihad. I'm convinced Rudiger's going to be starting, and his job is to manhandle Erling Haaland again for 90 minutes, this time at the Etihad. Can he do it? Can Erling Haaland break those shackles, those big Rudiger shackles, and get rid of them and break away from him? Peel away to Nacho, peel away to Carvajal, someone else. Just break away, pull Rudiger about the pitch to places he doesn't feel comfortable. Find pockets of space. We need to see a versatile Erling Haaland in this game. Will we see it? It's going to be amazing. Team news. Only John Stones is of the minor concern, really, for Manchester City. He was missing against Luton, reported as a bit of a niggle, so nothing too serious. Pep said it was minor after the game, so I have a feeling and a hope at the same time that he comes straight back into the team. Team news for Real Madrid. That's the only player for City, by the way. So Stones, I mean, we don't get much more of a luxury than that with only one player that's slight doubt who's likely to play. So we've got a full fit squad, basically, to face Real Madrid, where they've got Courtois and Alaba out. Milito got a few minutes against Mallorca, but he probably wouldn't start in the absence of Tchouaméni, who's suspended, of course. I imagine Nacho is going to start in the back four for Real Madrid. And speaking of yellow cards, they do get wiped after the quarterfinals. So after this game, any yellow cards that are picked up in the semi-final, they don't count for anything. They're just yellow cards for that particular 90 minutes. So, but if you pick up a yellow card in this tie and you're already on 2 and you get a third yellow card over the competition, you will be suspended for the first leg of the semi-final. And the only threat for Manchester City is Ruben Diaz. And there's another headache for Pep Guardiola. Like I've said, there's another headache there. Do you want to start Ruben Diaz and risk him potentially missing out on the semi-final? Maybe put Akanji in there? Really difficult decision, that, because, I mean, Ruben Diaz has been pretty solid at the back in recent times. But that's it for a Manchester City perspective. Obviously, Tchouaméni, who picked up the yellow card in the first minute, which led to Jack Grealish's free kick, which Bernardo Silva then whipped in the first couple of minutes to make it 1-0 at the Bernabeu. That yellow card was very, very costly. It conceded a goal, and Tchouaméni out of the second leg. So, like I said, Nacho's going to be coming in most likely. Bellingham, Vinicius Jr. and Camavinga, all 3 players are still floating around the idea of picking up a third yellow card and missing the semi-final. Now, I'm sure you might think, oh, well, who cares, yellow cards? It affects the way you play. Because in your mindset, you're thinking, I want to play. And the semi-final, if we get there, I want to be there. And you've got 2 players in particular. Vinicius Jr. is more likely to pick up a yellow card for dissent. Right, you know what I mean? Like, not a serious foul. That's not Vinny's style, really, is it? Bellingham and Camavinga, on the other hand, they're hard-tackling, no-nonsense players that get stuck in, who, therefore, their game might be affected by the idea of being suspended for the semi-final. Will they be able to go in at 100% knowing that if they pick up a yellow card, they're out of the semi-final? And I'm going to go one further for you. I'm going to take this further. Going long-term, have a look at the Arsenal game and the Bayern Munich game. Yellow cards, for example. So Bayern are on a yellow cards that could miss. So we're hoping these players pick up a yellow card out of either of these 2 teams if Bayern or Arsenal progress and we make it through to the semi-final. Goretzka and Alphonso Davies, 1 yellow card away. That's exciting. Even better, from Arsenal, Declan Rice and Kai Havertz, both 1 yellow card away from missing the semi-final of the Champions League. That's insane. If we get there, and the idea of, I'll have one eye on that, thinking if Declan Rice picks up a yellow card against Bayern Munich, that's huge. Huge if he's missing for the semi-final. And we're into that stage, and the only threat for City is Ruben Diaz. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that in mind and the yellow cards in mind. But team news, my predicted starting 11. Let's go with Real Madrid to begin with. I think these teams are pretty easy to pick, to be honest, considering, you know, they're almost full strength with the exclusion of Courtois, which therefore means Lunin comes in net for Real Madrid. Carvajal right back. You've got to see Rudiger. Surely he's playing for Real Madrid in the back line, considering the job that he did on Erling Haaland. Surely they'll be playing him again. Nacho cheese in... I did that joke in the last one. I think that's the end of that joke. I think that's done. Nacho cheese. Left back. Who have we got left back? Mendy. Where are you, Mendy? There he is. Mendy. In front of them. Now, I thought Modric came on and made the Real Madrid team tick. They looked much more fluid in that second half. Toni Kroos was anonymous in the first leg. I'm hoping he plays again because I know Toni Kroos is a capable player. He's set pieces and he's got a goal in his locker. You know, he's obviously a quality player. But I thought Modric came on and was far and away an improvement to the tempo of the game for Real Madrid in that second half. But I'm going to go with Toni Kroos again in the middle, who was rested, by the way. There's a little clue. He was rested playing against Mallorca, so there's the clue as to who he probably is going to pick in midfield. Camavinga alongside him. And Valverde on the right in front of them. In front of the two of Toni Kroos and Camavinga will be Jude Bellingham. And then on the left, we'll have Rodrigo, no doubt, to deal with, and Vinicius Jr. Now, I wanted to talk about the setup from Real Madrid. The game plan that I thought was so prevalent and obvious in that first leg, that they really narrowed down the weak spot of Manchester City being the absence of Kyle Walker. Now, I wanted to show you the heat map of Vinicius Jr. And as you can see, he's very much on the left side of the pitch, drifting in a little bit more inwards. But predominantly, the two hottest spots on his heat map are on that left-hand side. You compare that to Rodrigo, also on the left-hand side. And then in the middle, there was, well, who's their centre forward then? The job was meant to be Jude Bellingham. And as you can see, his heat map here, he didn't really get as far forward. The strongest points, he drifted over to the left-hand side as well, with a strong spot in the middle of the pitch. His role was to prop up the attack with Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. both drifting over to that left-hand side. And you think about the goal that they scored, you know, the trickle goal from Rodrigo, where Akanji ended up getting his legs twisted with Rodrigo. You think about the second half chances. You know, the Jude Bellingham one that he missed. There was another opportunity for Vinicius Jr., all of which came down Real Madrid's left-hand side, Manchester City's right-hand side, where there was no Kyle Walker. I imagine Kyle Walker's therefore going to play in this game because they picked the weak spot and like, right, there's no Kyle Walker, let's go for it. Let's go down that right-hand side of Manchester City's right-hand side and try and expose them. It almost worked to us. Well, it did work to an extent. They got goals from it, and they also got chances from it. So it's something we need to be mindful of. The reason why I think City almost got away with it is because I think Jude Bellingham had a poor game in that first leg. I thought City nullified him. I thought Ruben Diaz kept any sort of threat from Jude Bellingham, who's meant to push forward into that centre-forward role. I thought we nullified that really well. And I think we could do that again, potentially. But the question is, what are they going to do this time? If City were to start Kyle Walker, they might have to see the likes of Vinicius Jr. drifting over to the right-hand side of the pitch and teaming up with Valverde and creating that overload on Manchester City's left-hand side, which could either be Nathan Ake or Gvardiol. And that's really, they're out of weak spots after that because City are almost pretty much at their full strength. And you're talking about a Nathan Ake who's been sensational and a Josko Gvardiol who's found an incredible vein of form recently. So it's like, well, where is the weak spot in Manchester City right now? I don't really see one. To be honest, I feel like we're starting to fire on all cylinders just at the right time, like we always do. But always, every single Real Madrid game you ever play, it comes with the caveat, well, this is Real Madrid. This is Real Madrid. They do things, Real Madrid. They're a scary prospect. Whether you're in form, they're out of form, doesn't matter. It's Real Madrid. They have the wonderful, magical players that can just turn a game on its head with a bit of magic. You know, we've got to be so careful in this game. Right, Manchester City, predicted starting 11. I'm going to go with Ederson in goal, which I think is harsh, man. I think it's harsh on Ortega. The fact that Ederson played against Luton was, I thought, understandable. But it's like, and that's the headache. What's Pep going to do? Is he going to play Ortega, who has given him no reason to sit on the bench? Ortega deserves to play in this game, in my opinion. But I have a feeling I would prefer Ortega to going off recent form, and Ortega's shot-stopping ability has come to the surface, and we needed to call on it quite a bit lately. Ederson, I have a feeling Pep is just going to, the tried and trusted method of Ederson. We know what Ederson's all about. His distribution's the best in the world as a goalkeeper. So I have a feeling we could see Ederson. I'm going to go with Kyle Walker as the back three, the right side of the centre-back. I think Pep's going to play Ruben Diaz and go with the risk, which is risky. You could see Manuel Akanji playing as a centre-back instead of Ruben Diaz to not run that risk of a yellow card. I don't think Pep's going to be thinking about the yellow cards, to be honest. And therefore, I think he's going to be playing Ruben Diaz. Left side, I've got to go with Gvardiol. Because I think Gvardiola's just been sensational lately. And again, same with Ortega. It would be harsh to drop him. You know, the guy does not deserve to be dropped. But then you think about Nathan Ake, who is just like, he's a big game player, Nathan Ake. He's a big game defender. You know, he wins his one-on-one duels pretty much always. He rarely gets beaten. Solid as a rock. Gvardiol doesn't have that solidity yet. But he's coming forward. He's offering an attacking threat, a creative threat. He scored 2 goals in 2 games. So it would be harsh to drop Gvardiol. In front of them, it's got to be Rodri. Full week of rest for him. Perfect. Perfect. So he's got to come in. With John Stones, that's another headache. Is he going to be fit? Because he didn't play. He wasn't even on the bench against Luton. So, be interesting. I think he's going to go with it, though. John Stones in the middle. And then in front of them, I'm going to go with KDB, who is fit. Played the game, came off against Luton. There's a clue that he might start the game against Real Madrid as well. Get him off once the game was won against Luton. Alongside Phil Foden. On the left, I'm going to go with Jackie Boy, Jack Grealish for that level of control and equal level of control. Bernardo Silva, who was sensational against Real Madrid in that first leg last season. And he played pretty well at the Bernabeu, in fairness to him. And I'm going to go with Erling Haaland up top. But what a game this proposes to be. Manchester City versus Real Madrid at the Etihad. I will be doing a watch along, so come and join me for that one. What are your predictions? I'm going to go 3-1 Manchester City. Get in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is typical City.